This is Cruise Radio.
Cruise Radio is brought to you in part by tripinsurance.com. Travel insurance done right by the people who know travel insurance. Get a quote today at tripinsurance.com.
Here we go.
Broadcasting from the tripinsurance.com studios in Jacksonville, Florida. This is Cruise Radio.
Andrew and his wife just returned from a 7-night Western Caribbean cruise on Carnival Jubilee out of Galveston, Texas, and he joins us to talk about his vacation. How you doing, my friend?
I am fantastic. How are you doing?
Awesome, man. Thanks for coming on, and thanks for being willing to share your vacation with us. So before we get to the actual Jubilee itself, we'll take a step back here. You're in the Canton, Ohio area, so give me some pre-cruise thoughts. What made you want to fly down to Texas to take this cruise?
Well, we typically go out of like Miami, Orlando. We fly down there. It's an easier flight for us. We hadn't gone out of Galveston before. So this cruise checked a few boxes for us. We'd never done Western Caribbean. We'd always gone Eastern or done the Bahamas. And we'd done the other 2 Excel class ships as well. So getting the chance to experience the third in the Excel class and cruise out of somewhere new to somewhere new was, and at the right price, was kind of a no-brainer for us.
You fly down to Texas. Did you do any pre-cruise time there?
We got there much later the day before than we intended. Weather up here and down there was a nightmare. We actually had a few people in our cruise group who couldn't make it due to the weather. So, word to the wise to get there early, especially in Galveston. But we spent a few hours. I wish we could have had more time.
So you go to the cruise terminal to embark Carnival Jubilee. How was that embarkation process in Galveston, and how long did it take you to get from the curb to the ship?
From the curb to the ship was a little over an hour. Part of that's because we were there really early because we didn't know what to expect. I had seen online that it could be a little bit of a organized chaos with 6,000 people coming off of a ship and that many going on to one, kind of a nightmare. But we figured it out pretty easy. We walked from our Airbnb, about a 10-minute, 15-minute walk, and we just kind of followed the crowds, and we wound up where we were supposed to be. Once we got into the terminal and we got moving, it was quick and easy. Maybe took us 20 minutes to get to the waiting area. Then we waited maybe another half hour, and we were on the ship.
Now, since you've done Mardi Gras out of Port Canaveral and Celebration out of Miami, how was the terminal, like Terminal 25 in Texas here? How did it stack up against the other 2?
I don't know a ton about it, but I can only assume that it's an older terminal that they added onto and renovated because the outside it's just congested. It's very congested. And you have the 2 Carnival terminals, and there's only one way in and one way out of both of them. Like, you have to go through, like, the Breeze was next to us. If you drive in, I learned this from our driver on the way back to Houston, you have to go past the Breeze to get to the Jubilee. So there's only one way in and one way out. And, I'm glad that we were walking because any drive-in seemed like kind of a headache.
Yeah.
But once you're inside, it's great. I mean, it's especially I can't speak for the Breeze terminal, but the terminal for the Jubilee it's great. I mean, it fit everybody easy. There was plenty of security lines, plenty of comfortable place to sit while we waited. It was great once we got inside. The outside is it can be a little overwhelming if you haven't done it before.
So you step on Carnival Jubilee, and since you've been on the other 2, I'll just ask you, what can someone expect when they walk onto an Excel class ship from the cruise terminal onto the ship?
You're going to walk on the Jubilee, it's the Grand Central, and then it's Celebration Central on the Celebration. I forget what it's called on the Mardi Gras offhand, but it's not your typical atrium that you're used to on a Carnival ship, where you have, the floors of elevators or anything like that. But this ship is super easy to get around because decks 6, 7, and 8, where all the action is inside, you can walk from the back to the front with no interruption, as opposed to like Vista class where you might run into the IMAX theater or something and have to go up or down. before you can go across. Super easy to move around. But yeah, it's like real open, lots of lights, lots of natural light coming into that area, but they all look the same. So you're not going to notice a difference ship to ship to ship in that Grand Central Celebration Central area.
Yeah, I didn't really even think about that till you just said it, where like on the other Carnival ships, you have to pretty much, you're forced to go through the casino to transit from front to back. And this one, the casino's kind of off on its side, kind of where you don't really need to go through it if you don't want to.
Right.
What kind of stateroom did you book for this 7-night cruise, and what did you think of it throughout the voyage?
We had an interior. It was our first time actually doing an interior. I've done one solo, but we hadn't done one, my wife and I, or with the kid or anything. And this one, it was just the two of us. We did an interior. It was fine for what we needed. It was super hot, though. That was actually a complaint I got from a lot of people in our Facebook group and even other people I talked to on the ship. This is a very warm ship. And this was in the beginning of May. I can't imagine how warm this ship probably gets in the really hot summer months in the Gulf. But there were plenty of outlets, plenty of plugs. There was so much storage. We didn't even use all of it. We had empty drawers, an empty closet, and plenty of space in the bathroom. Even though it's small to move around, there was tons of storage everywhere in this interior cabin. So it was great for what we needed. We didn't spend a lot of time in it, and I'll just say it was fine.
All right. Did you bring that to maintenance's attention, the AC?
Yes, and they did come. Ours was running warm. It was running about 4 to 5 degrees warm, and we had some outlets that weren't working our first night as well, and we didn't realize it till items weren't charged the next day, and the cables were extremely hot when we pulled them out. So there may have been an electrical issue in our cabin, and they did address it. So kudos to them for addressing that, but it remained very warm. It cooled down slightly, but we had to keep hitting that AC boost. Anytime we got up in the middle of the night, we had to get up and go hit that AC boost because it stayed just so warm in that room.
And what deck were you on?
We were 9 forward.
9 forward. Okay. So let's talk about the food on board Carnival Jubilee. And we'll go to deck 16 first, which is the Lido Marketplace there, where you have the buffet and also some other options outside of there. So how was the buffet during your cruise? And did it ever feel like it was too crowded?
We're not huge buffet people, especially for lunch or dinner. But we do like some of the stalls that are up there. And I actually noticed 2 stalls that I hadn't seen on any tour video or vlog or on the other Excel class ships. I don't know if they were new, but there was a Indian place. I want to say it was like Tiki Masala was the name of it. And then there was an empanada and pie place. And I don't remember seeing those anywhere on ship plans or anything. And they were both really good, especially the empanadas. They were a small fee, but it never seemed overly crowded. I mean, on this cruise in general. But the marketplace, we didn't spend a ton of time there. But when we did walk through, it didn't seem overly chaotic like it can during those summer months or spring break or something like that.
Certainly. And then how about on the outside of the buffet? You have like the big chicken, and then you have the blue iguana out there, and different other stalls as well.
The grab and go. People say it all the time about Carnival. It separates it from everybody else. All the grab and go food is so good. You can't eat all of it even in 7 days. I mean, there's just so many options. Beach buns became our go-to on this cruise, which is down on deck 8 next to the pizza place. And that grab and go food is second to none. And I could eat all of it on land. I don't need to be on a ship to enjoy a guy's burger. I could do that here.
Right. So how about the main dining room? What time dining did you have? And how was your experience in there throughout the week?
We did your time dining so that we could take advantage of the complimentary chibang and cucina. And we only went to the MDR one night. We went because my wife wanted beef Wellington. Other than that, we experimented with some of the other sit-down places that we could go to in the evening.
Awesome. Let's talk about some of those. Where'd you go?
First night we went to Rudy's Sea Grill. We got the complimentary bottle of wine that you can get. I think you can get that at Rudy's and the steakhouse on night one. And we actually sat outside and it was great. That was a truly elevated experience. I think sometimes when you pay, it doesn't feel elevated from the dining room, or it feels like maybe you overpay for it. This was right in a sweet spot for us. The quality and the service was top notch, and the crab stuffed lobster tail imperial is ridiculous. So I highly recommend that to anybody who's looking for a complimentary bottle of wine, or just wanting to try out one of the specialty dining options.
Yeah, certainly. There's some great food options on there. Did you find that it was priced? What's the pricing now on there? Is everything now north of $50 a person?
It's close. Bonsai teppanyaki, I think, is actually the most expensive now, which is crazy because it used to be like, I think when we did it on the celebration, I want to say it was like $30 a person. But that might have been before gratuity. But, even after gratuity, it would have been what, $35-$36. Yeah. It's now north of 50. I think the steakhouse and Rudy's were both still 48, and that it includes gratuity now. The pricing does. But yeah, bonsai teppanyaki is way too expensive for hibachi when I can go get that for half the price on land. I'm not going to pay $52 on a ship to do that personally. But I mean, I think Rudy's and the steakhouse, I think, are right in line with kind of where they should be. And then we did Bonsai Sushi became our favorite restaurant on this. And even that has gotten more expensive. It was like $10 per roll. I think when we were on the celebration a year and a half ago, the rolls were like $5 or $6. It used to feel like you were paying for, like, all the food was included and then you were paying to elevate the experience is what it felt like. Now it feels like the food isn't included unless you're in the MDR and you're just paying for a whole new series of meals.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but like, I'm cool to pay an elevation, but paying for a whole new meal sometimes is a tough pill to swallow because that's supposed to be in my cruise fare.
Yeah, for sure. I'm curious, do you usually book all of this in advance, or do you kind of do it on the fly when you get on board and you check the menus out and everything and say, okay, we're going to book the steakhouse this night and bonsai this night, what have you?
We usually do it in advance, just because we kind of have an idea with like what we're going to do in port, what we may want to do that night for dinner. And also I don't want to run into a situation where they don't have a reservation one night for whatever reason. So, and we'll usually only do like one of those specialty dining options per cruise. So this one, it was Rudy's, and then we just kind of walked into Bonsai Sushi when we decided to do that. But we usually will book it ahead of time.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Did we miss any food venues you might have went to?
Oh man. Well, we went to all of them except for the steakhouse, Seafood Shack, and Bonsai teppanyaki. So I can talk about as many of them as you want me to.
Yeah, let's hit us with it.
Guys is Guys. It's the best burger at sea by far, and that it doesn't disappoint ever. Blue Iguana. I think Blue Iguana is some of the freshest tacos, and that quality is maintained even since the pandemic to me. And Emerald's, I think, is underrated on these ships. I don't see very many people eat at Emerald's. When I was talking a little bit ago about how I'm fine to pay a little bit of an elevation, I think they have the pricing right at Emerald's, because you can get what feels like probably a $20 bowl of shrimp and grits for $6. Like that pricing is on point to me. And that is one of my favorite meals at sea. The Pig and Anchor Smokehouse was a place we ate as well. That's included as many times as you want on these ships. And we went and had dinner there one night. It's barbecue on a ship.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's decent barbecue. I wouldn't want to pay a ton for it, but I like good barbecue. But what can you do on a ship when you can't have open flame? you know?
Right.
So I think sometimes people have unrealistic expectations for what the smokehouse should be. And then we did Cucina and Chibang as well. And the Cucina experience, I've had poor experiences there before. Dude, I got the, what was it? The braised short rib. That was my favorite meal this whole cruise, with the arancini for the appetizer, the fried rice balls. But yeah, I definitely, that exceeded my expectations big time, because I've had poor experiences at Cucina before. And then Chibang, I didn't eat a whole lot, but my wife always does. And yeah, it's a fine experience. I would pay for those two restaurants every time. But I love that they do include it the first 2 times that you go there. So, but the service at all of them was awesome, top notch. I have nothing but good things to say about the crew that were on this ship. It seems like some of the steps back that we saw, after the restart, I think maybe some of that is being corrected. At least on this ship, I felt that way.
It is crazy too. Like back to Emerald's. I've been to the Vegas restaurant a couple of times, and even for the jambalaya, which I believe is around $6 or $8 on Carnival Jubilee, it's $41 at the MGM at Emerald's Place. There is a New Orleans Fish House, so heck of a better deal, and the quality controls there too. It tastes exactly the same, just at 3/4 of a price difference. So yeah,
and they're huge portions. It's not like the MDR tiny portions that you get. I mean, you could share it.
The pizza situation there on deck number 8, did they shut it down pretty early, or were y'all in bed before it shut down?
I'm usually in bed before it shuts down, but I did get a chance to see the midnight buffet pizza one night, and it does not do it for me. Yeah. I didn't try it. Just looking at it, I was like, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did shut it down. I think 11 o'clock or midnight was when they shut down Coastal Slice. People still aren't happy about it, even though they've been doing it a while. But Street Eats too. Yeah. That's the other one. Check it every day. That revolving menu of the 3 stalls at Street Eats. Yeah. It's next level and perfect size at like 3 o'clock when you've had a little bit to drink and you need a little something to tide you over till dinner. Yeah. Oh, Street Eats, that's the place to go. Especially the fries. The fry stand is my favorite.
Yeah, certainly. So let's talk about the entertainment on this 7-night cruise. How did it stack up for y'all?
We loved it. We aren't huge show people, but one thing that I love is with the shows in that Grand Central Theater, is when you're walking from like point A to point B on the ship, you can kind of take in the show for a few minutes. I think you're kind of the same way. I've heard you talk about like you'll step into a show and then pop out of it. You know, I only need like a taste of these shows to see the performers and their talent. And I can get that by just walking through to grab a cup of coffee and then go to the casino. I can get a taste of these shows and I love it. And some of the shows are like big production shows too, with like the aerialists and stuff like that. You can also catch the rehearsals, which is a great way to appreciate the talent. But the seating is awful. I'm curious how they'll fix that on the newer ships, if they will at all.
That was my next question to ask you, because that ship, since Mardi Gras came out in 21, pushed back for the Grand Central Atrium there, just because of that. You know, you have the stadium style seating there on deck number 7. On 6, you have a little bit out front, but then you're covered pretty much the rest of the seats, like for the roof for deck 7. And then deck 8 is so high up there, you're kind of like stretching your neck to look down at it. So I was curious to see if people had to go early if they wanted to catch a show there, or if it's still the general consensus that, the Central Atrium is horrible for shows.
I think that's still the consensus, and you still have people who will go sit outside the little nylon straps they put up to close off the seating. They'll go sit in the seats right behind it an hour and a half before the show. People will just drink there and just wait until it opens so that they can get, one of the 15% of the seats that are decent. The people who are going to wait forever will get it.
How was the casino as far as the smoke situation? I know it's closed off from the rest of the ship, but when you were walking through it, could you tell there was a non-smoking and smoking side?
Barely, in a good way. I'm a former smoker. I don't smoke anymore. I'm sensitive to it. I don't mind cigarette smoke though. But you really couldn't tell when you were in the smoking section. Whatever they've done with the like air scrubbing and ventilation is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I actually sat down at a smoking machine one time and didn't realize it until a lady sat down next to me and put her ashtray down. And I was like, oh, all right, I'm in a smoking section. So yeah, it's great though what they've done with that. But yeah, it is closed off, so you don't have to touch the casino a single time if you don't want to.
That ship has that, what's the bar called that's down there on deck 8? It's like the travel bar on Celebration where the flipboard is.
Dr. Inks?
Yeah, Dr. Inks. What did you think of it?
That area, that currents zone, I was in love with it. Between Dr. Inks and the Golden Mermaid, which is the bar that's the Golden Jubilee on the Celebration, and Brass Magnolia on the Mardi Gras, they're an experience. That's the only way I can think to describe it. I mean, they're that way on the other ships too, but this one, there was something about the underwater theme on a cruise ship that it hit me in the feels for some reason. And the care that they took with the decoration as well, especially at Dr. Inks, even the name has like 3 different puns in it. It's awesome. But the drinks were spectacular and an experience. The bartenders really wanted to make a show out of giving you one of those bubble drinks. And I tell you what, that drink looks like it. My wife got one and she thought it was going to be this like sissy frou-frou drink because it's got a like steaming bubble. You drop a piece of candy in it and it's pink. It was the strongest drink either one of us had the entire time. That thing was not messing around.
Are they still making the drink with the, what are they called? The Pop Rocks?
Yes, they are. I didn't have that one. I got one with cotton candy.
Okay.
That was one of the drinks I got. And then I did a couple of the smoked drinks. It's not a smoked Manhattan they do at Dr. Inks. I forget what it was, but it was man, those drinks, they packed a few punches, not just one.
How about the music? Like, was there ever like a soloist or a duo or anything in that bar or the bar around the corner?
Yeah, they're far enough apart that they didn't bleed into each other. But there's also enough space. I don't know what they did in this area. So you have the musicians, but like it's compared to the Celebration or the Mardi Gras, this little zone seems so much more open. There were actually people who were able to dance when people were playing in like the walkway without getting in everybody's way. But yeah, the musicians were awesome and they would take requests from, the people who were sitting there. It was just a lot more alive in that zone than I recall on the other Excel class ships. Did
you spend any time at the Alchemy bar?
Yes, we did. And it's as good of an experience as it is on every other one of the Carnival ships. I did find this drink. It has rosemary in it. I forget what it's called, but it became my favorite drink of the entire cruise. I thought for sure I had the name written somewhere, but I don't. But it's a drink with rosemary. You have to try it. And when you go to Alchemy, whatever it is, it's incredible.
Yeah, one of the changes they did between the Mardi Gras Celebration and Jubilee is Alchemy is a little bit bigger. They made the bar a little bit bigger and some more extra seating and booths in that space there compared to the other 2 ships. Well, Carnival is bragging that all their ships are over 100% capacity right now. So I'm curious what it was like sailing on sea days as far as crowds and congestion on a full ship.
I don't want to say this because I don't want people to start booking it, but the first week of May is when you should book a cruise if you want to avoid kids. I think it's close enough to spring break and summer break. We saw hardly any school-aged kids on this cruise. So with that, I think this has to be one of the least sailed weeks for Carnival, at least on this ship, and maybe we just got lucky. But we had no issue with chairs anywhere. We didn't have really issues with lines, even at like Guy's Burgers at 12:30 in the afternoon on a sea day. You weren't waiting 40 minutes like you can. Or they just got the line management and crowd management down on this ship.
Yeah.
I did not see school age kids. I think we just got incredibly lucky. And this is going to be the time of year that I, with or without my 12-year-old son, this is going to be the time of the year that I book. Cause it did not feel like it was at capacity. Not even close.
Did you spend any time in the adults only Serenity retreat?
Yes. And actually even had the chance to get Fresh Creations for the first time because it rained one day. And so nobody was in line at Fresh Creations because that place is always bumping.
Yeah, it is.
But
for sure.
yeah, never an issue getting a seat. Didn't even wait. I feel like it didn't even wait that long at the Serenity bar for drinks when we needed them. And again, the pools would feel crowded because people would just get there and sit there all day in the same spot when it's hot. But other than that, didn't have an issue waiting in line for drinks, whether it was at Serenity or, on Lido, anywhere. Yeah, crowds were great.
That's good to hear. Well, let's talk about the ports of call. So you leave Galveston. Tell us about your first port of call and what was your highlight there?
We did Mahogany Bay or Isla Tropical, as they call it now. I'm not a fan of that name change, by the way. I think Mahogany Bay is fine, but we just did the beach day in port. We had not been there. We've not been to any of these ports before. And we loved it. We had a great time just sitting under plenty of shade. Like there's so many palm trees you can sit under. You don't need to pay for like an umbrella or clamshell or anything like that. We were able to avoid the harsh sun in Honduras. Didn't have an issue, with bar service. They'd come right to us if we called for them. Just had a really good day just hanging out in the sun.
Did you take the chairlift over there or did you walk?
We just walked. Yeah. And we did like, they have a little nature walk where you can go and do like take a little detour and a little scenic route and, hang out amongst the flowers and trees and lizards and stuff. And that was kind of cool. And back, they have some little cutouts on the nature walk where you can get some really cool views of the ship and photo ops. So we took advantage of that as well. I'm really intrigued what they're going to do with that, if they're going to how they're going to increase capacity, maybe. Mm-hmm. Because while it wasn't crowded for us, because nothing was crowded for us because there were no kids on this cruise, if there was another ship here, which they do send 2 ships to this port, it would be a disaster. So, because I felt like we were kind of like pressing the line of being overcrowded for my taste.
Yeah.
So I'm curious with like them adding the pool and stuff like that, if that's going to increase the capacity or if they're going to eat into the space they have. It looks like they have plenty of space, but yeah, we had a great day this day.
And then after Mahogany Bay, what was next?
Costa Maya. Mm-hmm. And this was probably our favorite adventure or event that we did. We did an excursion. We did like a split excursion. We booked it through it was my first time doing an excursion, not through the cruise line, because I like that comfort of they can't leave without me. Right. But we booked it through a company called Native Choice, and it was split between the Chocchoban village Mayan ruins and the Bacalar Lagoon, also known as the Seven Color Lagoon. And both stops were absolutely breathtaking for us. To be around the history at the Mayan ruins, to be built a very long time ago to still be standing. These aren't as cool as like Chichen Itza or something like that, but still amazing to be in a village that, was part of a civilization that doesn't exist anymore. Is just neat. And our tour guide, Eddie, was awesome. Very informative and fun. Like, I wanted to take them back to the ship with us to have drinks. But then the Bacalar Lagoon, that was a beautiful place. I didn't know what a lagoon was. I'd always heard the term, but it's like a mix between salt and fresh water. Mm-hmm. It's fed from both sources. And this is 85% fresh water, but it almost looks Bahamian blue throughout the lagoon. And there's like different colors that you experience based on the like makeup of the base of the lagoon, and I wish we would have had more time. The one drawback to where Costa Maya, the port, is located is all that cool stuff is like an hour and a half away. So half of your excursion is spent in a van or a bus. For us, it was fortunately a van, a nice air-conditioned van.
Yep.
But we just didn't get enough time at Bacalar. That was my only gripe, was not enough time.
You booked this third party, as you mentioned. Was there nothing like this offered with Carnival, or was it a pricing thing? I'm just curious.
There wasn't a split like this with Carnival that I noticed, at least. We could do we could do the tour of the lagoon, or we could do the ruins. They were going to be more expensive, but I'm willing to pay that for the peace of mind of the ship can't leave without me. But yeah, they didn't have this combo. And when I had seen on YouTube, I saw a couple that had done this. I was like, and they even said, there's not enough time. Split them up and do them separately. I'm like, we cruise once a year. We've not been here. I'm doing them both. And I don't have any regrets or complaints.
Awesome. So then after Costa Maya, I assume it was Cozumel?
It was. And there we did book this one through Carnival. We did the Fury catamaran, snorkel, and beach day. Mm-hmm. And I love doing these excursions. I love being on a catamaran. Just more time on a boat is awesome. And the snorkeling was fine. It's commercial snorkeling where you're going to be, kicking a bunch of people and getting kicked by a bunch of people wearing fins. I mean, that's kind of what it is. There were plenty of fish, but I was more there for the beach day and the catamaran. The beach was awesome because it was only this company's beach. Mm-hmm. So, and it was private. There weren't vendors all up and down the beach trying to sell you things. There was no issue with getting chairs or beds or anything like that on the beach. All the drinks were included, which was great. We did have to pay for a burger, but it was like $12. So, I mean, a reasonable cost. And my wife and I split one. It was perfect. Water sports were included too. So I felt like that was a great value for us and kind of a great way to wind up the ports too.
Yeah.
But yeah, spending time on a catamaran, that's always going to be a highlight for me.
Oh yeah. So you make your way back to Galveston. How was the debark process?
Off the ship was fine. We hung out a little bit because our ride back to Houston was picking us up at 9:30. So we were in no rush to get off the ship. But we did notice there was some type of emergency over at the other terminal, which seemed to completely stop traffic from coming into the terminal. Traffic was blocked up in Galveston for blocks, every direction, every entrance to the terminal. We ended up, once we exited, we did self-assist. We were off the ship within 10 minutes of us attempting to leave with no issue. But we ended up having to walk about probably 5 or 6 blocks to meet our driver because it was going to be so much faster than waiting for her to pick us up at the port. That's one of those things with this port that there's just no room for error for the port. And also, if you have a flight that day, you gotta do afternoon because if anything goes wrong, you're an hour away minimum from your airport. So.
You said that your driver wasn't going to be there until 9:30. Do you schedule like car service, or did you just like schedule an Uber for a certain time?
We did. I was referred to Galveston Saltwater Moms, which is an organization of moms who just like to drive people from between Houston and Galveston.
Okay.
They're on Facebook. They do all their booking through Facebook Messenger. It's pretty no frills. But it's moms who have SUVs and minivans who, for a very reasonable price, about the same cost as an Uber, but kind of the service and reservation you would get with like a car service. We had that both ways. It was $120 each way, which sounds like a lot, but if you look at any transportation to and from, especially Bush, which is where we had to fly in and out of, If any transportation in and out of there down to Galveston is not cheap. So that's definitely something to incorporate into any shopping for a cruise out of Galveston. But yeah, I recommend them. They were awesome. They were super fun, nice, friendly, and they worked with us.
Yeah.
So it was, great experience.
Do you have any first-time tips to offer someone who might be considering sailing either a Carnival Excel class ship or Carnival Jubilee?
Cruise the first week of May. Cruise the first week of May. And then I said it before, but try everything. And go with a plan to try everything. The bars, the food, anything that interests you, go with a plan because there is so much to experience. If you don't have a plan, you will miss out. Because on our other Excel class journeys, there was stuff we walked away going, shoot, we didn't do that. And it's because it wasn't, even though it was something we kind of said we wanted to do beforehand, there wasn't a conscious effort during a 7-day trip to do it. So I think having a plan to do something is the way to go because there's just so much to experience and there's so little time.
Looking back, what was the biggest highlight of this cruise?
The Bacalar Lagoon, 100%. That I want to go back there, whether it's on a cruise or even as, just a vacation in and of itself, because there are resorts and stuff there. And also just Galveston. I didn't think I would like Galveston. I really wish we had more time before and or after our cruise. I think next time we go out of Galveston, we'll try to go 2 days in advance. That way we can get a full day ahead. Because I would have loved to spend more time there. There's a really cool arts district and stuff. We had dinner at a great distillery there. There's so many things to experience there. So I think those were 2 pleasant surprises for us.
All right, Andrew, as we close this out, give me your final thoughts of Carnival Jubilee.
I could live in the Currents area. I could spend every night at Dr. Inks or Golden Mermaid. I would give anything to be back there. And it won't be long, or I hope, before we're back. Great class of ship, and can't wait to be back on one soon.
We've been talking with Andrew about his 7-night Western Caribbean cruise on Carnival Jubilee. Andrew, thank you so much for sharing your vacation with us, my friend. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Just back from a cruise? Let's talk about it. Email Doug at cruiseradio.net.
A big question we get at Cruise Radio is, how do I know if I need trip insurance? Simple answer. If you're getting on a plane, taking a road trip, or getting on a cruise ship, you need to have travel insurance. Hey, it's Doug Parker from my friends at tripinsurance.com. Not only does tripinsurance.com protect your vacation investment, but it also gives you peace of mind in case anything were to go wrong on your trip. How do they do it? They offer 3 different types of trip insurance policies. Good, better, and best. One policy for every vacation budget. But it doesn't just stop there. They're up to 40% lower when you shop around on other comparison sites. Plus, tripinsurance.com offers 24-hour customer support before, during, and after your trip, online claims assistance, and travel alerts to let you know what's going on at your destination. But find out for yourself. Check out tripinsurance.com.
All right, Dougie, let's see what we got for you, buddy. Cruise Radio is produced at the tripinsurance.com studios in Jacksonville, Florida. Get cruise news, ship reviews, and money-saving tips every Thursday on Cruise Radio. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the show. If you want to help spread the word, give Cruise Radio a 5-star review. Find Cruise Radio where you listen to your favorite podcast or online at cruiseradio.net. I'm your announcer,